We got a great topic today. I want to talk about state management. This whole study on Pavlov's dogs, right? Trying to really get to the bottom of where anchoring originally came from. And it was really interesting because what I found is that, like, when they really tested this stuff in humans, the results were really staggering. I mean, I always, like, for me, again, managing my state was always like an automatic. It wasn't something I struggled with, right? Then I came up with olfactory anchoring as a way to help other people do what I could do naturally, right? But again, it was never a big deal for me. So, I just took it for granted because everyone told me it was great. Olfactory anchoring worked really well. But when I actually did the research today, it really made me understand why it works so amazingly well. And you know what it is? Is that the brain, by the way, it doesn't take more than 3 or 4 shots of setting an anchor. If you're at the top of your state, that's the key. When you're at the top of your state, once you're there, after 3 times of using an anchor, it is so fucking locked in that you're set. Like, you can literally, when they tested, whether it's a dog, another animal, a human being, when they tested someone's blood pressure, their heart rate, but by introducing an anchor, it was profound. When you have a real anchor set, as soon as you fire off that anchor, right, you trigger that anchor, your blood pressure changes, your heart rate goes up, your pupils dilate. So this is actually a tangible impact. It's not just like, oh yeah, you feel better or you're talking to yourself. Don't forget, it's a real impact you have. So what's the key? Just to remind you here, the key is you have to be at the absolute top of the state. Meaning, if you're anchoring in a state of certainty, you can't be at a 9 on the scale of certainty. You have to be at an absolute 10 and damn sure. But it's only at that point in time that you can introduce an anchor and set it. In this case, our anchor is what? Is boom boom, right? Or some other smell. And the reason we use smell is because it's proven to be by far the most powerful, essentially most visceral of the senses in terms of creating that, just like bam, it hits you like a ton of bricks, right? So boom boom is the perfect thing. Just remember this though. If you're below that level of certainty, the anchor won't set. It won't. That's when you pull the wool over your own eyes. Is when you're not at a level of certainty. So there's no way to get yourself to that ultra high level of certainty artificially. You can't go back and think about a time when you were absolutely certain. This is what kind of really drives me a little crazy with some of the seminars you go to. Like they'll try to set an anchor for you when you're in public in a huge room and music. It doesn't work that way. So what we do here with olfactory anchoring is you start by essentially conditioning yourself by, you go back in time, you think to that moment when you closed a big sale, when you were feeling absolutely certain, right? And you amplify that image in your mind using your 5 sensory modalities, right? In other words, you want to use basically the key, your visual modality, your auditory, your kinesthetic, to amplify the image, make the image bigger, brighter, clearer, right? The point I'm making is, though, is that as powerful as that might be, using your own, inner, your brain's ability to intensify images and sounds, that's not the power of olfactory anchoring. The power of olfactory anchoring lies in the fact that the smell we're using is mobile. We keep it in our pocket. So you wait until you're actually in the state organically. That's the key. You can't manufacture, you can't artificially pump yourself up into a state of certainty at that level. But when you wait until you close a sale, you close a tough sale, big, and you're like, wow, and you're like, bam, and you're basking in the afterglow, and you feel unbelievable, right? Because you really did close a sale. There's a certain feeling that you get when you close a sale, a big one. You're like, damn, like you could conquer the world. That's the moment when you introduce the anchor. You get it? You can't think your way to this. We start off by thinking our way just to get ourselves sort of conditioned, right? But then if you want to set an anchor, you got to take it to the next level. And that is waiting until you organically get into the moment, you really close the sale in the real world, and then bam, then you set your anchor and you're fucking set. You do that 2-3 times, you'll see that if you hook yourself up to a blood pressure monitor or to a pulse meter, you'd be shocked at the impact it has, a visceral, real, physiological impact when you set a real anchor. So please, this is a gift that you give yourself. If you're like me, and you simply never struggle with this stuff, right? It's just easy for you. Hey, you know what? Then you don't have to do it. Okay, I get that, right? I don't walk around with boom boom in my pocket. I just don't. If For me, it's a given. I can, no matter what is going on in my life, I can get myself into a peak state of certainty in a snap, right? Only for business though, right? My personal life, not as easy, right? But for business, I can, whatever it is, maybe my brain is wired with, you call it ambition, greed, or just fucking sheer conditioning and force of will. When it comes to business, I can get myself into a state of certainty in a snap. Most people can't. Most people really struggle with this stuff. And because of that, their ability to close, to negotiate, to make good decisions, it's impacted negatively. I don't want that to be part of your life. So do this, use your boom boom, and I promise you, it'll have a huge impact on your ability to just achieve in anything you do, all right? Love you all, and I will talk again to you soon.